Your Creative Push, episode 78.
Your career is in your hands, and if you want that baby, you better nurture it.
Welcome to Your Creative Push, the podcast that pushes you to pursue your creative passions. I'm your host, Youngman Brown, and my guest today is Blanca Lacortiglia. Blanca is an artist from the Bronx, New York, but currently residing in Clarksville, Tennessee. She's a raw artist and a member of DAC, which is Downtown Artist Co-op, and she received a BA in Art Studios with a concentration in painting at the University of South Carolina. She's been published in the magazine Women in Art, issue 278, and she will be showcasing her work as a vendor at 3 different events during the month of June. Blanca, thank you so much for coming on the show. I was wondering if maybe you could tell me what I missed in that intro and give us a peek into your personal life.
I like the intro. That was fine.
All right.
As far as my personal life, I am a mom and I am an artist. I'm also a wife. I do a lot of my work here at home at my studio. I have a large space. That's pretty much it, I think. I stay pretty active. I love to work out. And I focus a lot on my art. I do a lot of research. So, yeah.
Very cool. So I have to ask, what does raw artist mean? That's R-A-W capitalized.
Okay, so
I don't know.
One awesome day, I got this message on my Facebook through my artist Facebook page. And it was this art agency, and it was called Raw. I had never heard of it. I had almost thought it was like a joke, to be honest with you. And I looked it up, and once I opened the message, it was pretty much letting me know that, hey, we scouted you and we're interested in you being part of our team. And I don't know, I was so excited. I honestly couldn't even believe. I thought it was like a joke. I looked it up, and it was a group ran by artists, kind of like a indie underground artist thing. And I don't know, I thought it was pretty awesome. So I agreed to do a show under them, and now I'm exclusively a raw artist. So
cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
So do you, is there a community of the other artists that you get to talk to and run things by as well?
Yes. And that's what's so awesome about it. Some of them have been around for a long, long time, but they get to showcase with this organization. And what they do is they help you actually get shows in different states. So you're not always showing in the same state that you're located in. I am in Clarksville, so I got to showcase in Nashville, which isn't really far away from here. It's probably like an hour away or so. But it was cool. It was like, hey, I get a chance to, show my work in Nashville. So that was pretty awesome. And now that I have showcased under them once, then you're able to actually showcase again somewhere else. So I just have to kind of pick which state I want to showcase in and apply for it. And then I have that opportunity to be showcased somewhere else, which is honestly an awesome way for an artist to show their work in different areas. Because sometimes as an artist, you always want to stay local, or you think very, I hate saying it, but narrow-minded. You always think kind of just locally. But through this agency, you get to kind of spread your wings here and, test out the waters without taking too many, I guess I want to say, it's not too dangerous.
Sure. Yeah, it takes some of the risk away. It's not like you have to spend money on the traveling and all that stuff as much.
As much, yeah. I mean, you still have to get yourself there and get your artwork there, but at least, you don't have to worry about your vendor. You don't. They also help promote you as well. So it's awesome. I was so excited that they found me, and I'm like, yes.
That's so cool.
Yes, it was cool.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing. I think, like you said, yeah, there is that, that fear of once you start creating stuff, it's one thing to put it on the internet, but then to actually physically go places and show it. Yeah, I could see how that it feels safer to stay close to home, because then you can, if things don't go well, you can just, it only takes a 10-minute ride home to go cry yourself to sleep or something like that. So it is scarier
it is.
to go out. So that's cool to have an organization like that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, definitely.
And then, so what's DAC, which is the Downtown Artist Co-op?
Yes.
What's that?
So it's a gallery in downtown Clarksville that's pretty much ran by all artists. Like everyone there's pretty much an artist. And we all specialize in different things. We do have like woodworkers, which they do some awesome stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
So it's a lot. It's a lot of different artists like oil painters, watercolor painters, acrylic painters. We do have some people that do like tactile work as well. So it's pretty awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, on your bio and your website, you say that you've always known that you wanted to be a visual artist, but you didn't know how to become one. What would you say is the trick that you figured it out?
Well, unfortunately, it took a lot of testing different waters, going through college and, really seeing and trying to figure out who I was. I did go to college and I studied interior design. So I really wanted to be a designer. And once I was in the field and I was like learning about design work and, how to design the interior of a home, like I loved it. I loved it. And I knew that no matter what I did in my life, I had to involve art somehow. I had to involve it. And unfortunately, the program, we're going through like a couple conflicts. So then it got closed down. Long story short, it sucked. It sucked. I was so close to graduating, and then the program let me down. And after that, I was like, okay, well, I still want to do this art thing. I still want to stay somewhere where I know that, I can use that creativity that I have. So I moved out because that was actually in Arizona when I went to college in Arizona. I have traveled a lot. So after that, that's where I ended up at USC. And thankfully, it was amazing. I had such great professors that, really helped me figure out who I was. My advisor was awesome, and we talked about things that I wanted to do, and it led me to the right direction. And I, signed up for the program that I wanted, which involved art. And originally I was going to school for art education. So I wanted to become a teacher because as an artist, I've noticed that a lot of people kind of make you feel silly when you think of going to college to be an artist. It's like,
absolutely,
oh, you might not find a job, you might not have any security, or, make sure that you do graphic design at least. And it's so weird when you try to actually tell a person that you want to be an artist.
Same with writing. Yeah,
that's not nice. You know what I mean? Because even if they don't feel like, it's almost like someone telling you can't make it already. It's like I haven't even leaped out yet. You haven't even given me the chance to rise, and you're already filling me with doubt, kind of thing. But I went in as an art educator, and I took all the studio classes, all the art ed classes, and then once again I found a barrier. And it was like, you know what? You cannot be a teacher. And in a long story short, it broke my heart. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? This is the second time.
What do you mean a barrier? Somebody told you that?
Well, unfortunately, I continued to fail an exam that you have to take.
Oh, gotcha.
And that exam, you have to pass it. And I kept failing it by 1 point. And I'm not even lying. 1 point. 5 times.
So close.
So I was in, and this is, I think, my naive thinking where I was like, I just want to graduate college. So I didn't want to take it again after that. I was like, you know what? That's fine. And so I switched majors and I got my art studio degree. But I have like tons and tons and tons of educational classes under my belt, which kind of sucks, if you know what I mean? Because I would have liked the degree. So I graduated with my art studio degree. And I'm like, this is okay. This is okay. This just means I have to go get my master's in art education. But now I feel like this is who I am.
Right.
And the road was so rocky. Every time I thought I should be something else is what I'm trying to say. Like every time I'm like, no, I'm going to escape this art. I'm going to escape this artist thing. And weirdly enough, like here I am and I have my degree. And I consider myself pretty successful using it. I have accomplished so much more than I thought I would in during that little battle with my education. I did not ever think that like, oh, well, one day you'll be working at a gallery, or one day you'll be showcasing your work under organization, or, one day you'll be selling your stuff. Like, I never thought that.
Right.
And, I feel very, very happy about these accomplishments. And even after I graduated college, I ended up getting a job at one of those paint and sip places. And that's really when I was like, this is awesome. I love being an artist. I got to teach art classes and instruct, different painting classes. I started getting commissions. So I was always working on something and I just loved it. I loved it. And I'm like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. It's crazy how life works out like that, but it did. And I'm thankful for it.
Absolutely. And congratulations. It's funny. I had a very, very similar situation as you did with your interior design where the program sucked because I was going for a computer science degree. I did get it, but my professors were terrible. They didn't know what they were doing. It was like a situation where they're like, oh, like if you had a problem, if you didn't know how to do something, they'd tell you to work together with somebody else in the class to figure it out because they didn't know. I didn't get the actual education that I was paying for.
And that's awful. Yeah,
that's terrible.
Awful. And it really brings you down.
Absolutely. And then when I graduated, I was super unqualified. Like I even got laughed at a job interview. Laughed at. Yeah, it was brutal. So like I can definitely relate to you. And that's the thing though about, education is great and it's great to get that knowledge, but just like the people that told you, oh, you can't do that. You can't be an artist because of X reason, or you can't be a teacher for whatever reason. It's kind of all about like what people think you need to have. You don't need to have a degree to be an artist or to call yourself an artist or to end up in a situation that you found yourself in now. You can find your own path and you don't need a title after your name just to be there. And I think that's a thing that kind of holds a lot of people back, especially in this day and age. You can make it on your own,
Yep. And that is very, very true. And, I guess for self-pride or like dignity, I decided to take, they're called the Praxis exams. Mm-hmm. So the Praxis one, I only failed one portion of it, which, believe it or not, was writing. That's the one section that I failed and that didn't allow me to be a teacher. I couldn't even believe it. So I passed the math, I passed the reading, but I failed the writing by 1 point. So because of that, I am not able to teach in public schools, which is terrible. Yeah. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to take the Praxis 2 and get my master's in art education. So when you take the Praxis 2, that is all of like your studio classes, education classes combined. So if you pass this big exam, you are pretty much in the door for, to be an art teacher with, of course, other qualifications. So I did end up passing the Praxis 2. And then I just, I looked at the mirror and I just laughed. I was like, wow. So I couldn't graduate with my degree, yet I am completely capable of teaching art. You know what I mean? So it's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And, some people aren't good test takers, Like, I was really good at taking tests, but I didn't really retain the knowledge that well. I just knew how to study. You know what I mean? And, like, why does that make me a better qualified person than somebody who doesn't necessarily take tests well? 1 point separating you from being, like, a bright light in young people's lives, It's like, it's crazy.
Frustrating. Yeah. But with all these, dilemmas and my, choices in school, it really affected who I was as an artist because, sure. Like we mentioned earlier, it makes you feel like, you shouldn't be an artist. So now as an artist and having the degree that specifies that I'm an artist, I decided, okay, so I might not be able to teach in public school, but how can I still use my art and my passion, for community or, to really get it out there to people, which is really why I wanted to be an educator, mm-hmm. To educate, even like young people of how important it is to have art in your life, especially in a time where, so many different art programs are being closed down or people are very neglectful to the thought of art as a career. Right. So I'm currently actually enrolling to get my degree in business. I'm trying to be I'm potentially trying to open my own gallery where cool. I can have plenty and a bunch of different like classes and, teach people here, like, locally in your area about art. And like, I want to host like different art events, even though I wasn't able to do it in a public school setting, I am still very, very motivated to make it happen, even just locally without the public school system.
Well, good for you. And I love I love the way that you just keep going. You have these goals and you just go for them. I love it.
Yeah. You have to. If you don't, you're just going to have this like wonderful talent and you're just never going to share it with anyone. And why, when you have so much to offer, the world. And I know that sounds extremely corny.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
But, it's like, why are you going to just sit around and not use it when this is this beautiful blessing and this gift that you have? If you know how to make art, do it. And don't let anyone tell you not to.
Absolutely. Well, now, how about for somebody that's listening right now that either is, has the same problem that you had with just being a bad test taker, or somebody that can't maybe afford to go to school or doesn't have the time to go to school? What would you kind of suggest to them to make it on their own without that kind of education? And not just not to have it, but just the kind of the mental thing that goes with it, like you were saying, with like it messed with your identity, as an artist.
Well, I think we live in a time where there are so many things available to you. That right there is like the biggest thing that people, I think, neglect to think about.
Mm-hmm.
If you are an artist, say I am an artist. Don't say I'm an inspiring artist, or I'm an inspiring writer, or I do this on the side. No, say I'm an artist. I am an artist, and and walk it, like be the artist. I also think you have to do the work. If you aren't able to go to a college or get your education in that kind of level, or like you feel like you just can't take that avenue in life, go to your library. You have no idea how many books are out there to teach you different techniques on how to use certain, paints and mediums. I mean, go out there and get a book. And if you're broke, get yourself a little library card. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
You can use a computer in the library at this point and, do whatever you can. You can do it. There is no, honestly, excuse, or it's just all you in your head. Like, there's so many different resources out there available to anyone. You just have to find them. You have to get up and go get them. And, even if you feel like you want to paint, or you want to create something, or you want to write something, just do it.
Absolutely.
Just, stay self-motivated. Even if no one believes in you. I mean, it happens. No one has to believe in you. Honestly, screw it. Just be you. Like,
absolutely.
Do what you have to do. Be self-motivated and, also have a lot of self-discipline. I could easily, have just dropped everything after college and be like, you know what, this is not even what I wanted. But I did, in the sense of I started just working like 3 jobs. It was awful. Awful. I worked every night. Like, I started my shifts from like 8 a.m. all the way to like 12 to 2 o'clock a.m.
Oh my God. All day, every day? No days off?
I pretty much did not have a day off, and I was lucky with 3 jobs to get 1 day off, like all at the same time, if that makes any sense, you know? Yeah. It was awful. Okay. Yeah. It was like hell.
And were you able to do art during that time?
Heck no.
Yeah.
I was not doing anything. My soul was like slowly dying. It was horrible.
I hear you.
And the sad part is that, I have just recently gotten married. So I've only been like, I'm a newlywed. That's what you would call me, I have
Congratulations.
Been, like, thank you. I have been single for a long, big portion of my life. So I had my apartment and I had I always made sure I had my studio, a little studio area, it was like the tiniest little thing and I didn't care. It had to be there. And I would work and work and work and work and just look at my little area like, I can't love you. I can't stand there and paint because my legs hurt. I'm too tired, and by the time I would get off of work, it's like, screw it. I'm going to go have a beer and take a shot of freaking Jameson and call it a night,
Yeah.
Like, it's horrible. So, yeah, that was probably the biggest downer after, everything that had happened. I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like totally lost, just making money and surviving. That's pretty much what I was doing.
Absolutely. I think that's what a lot of people are doing. And that's the whole point is like when you get home, yeah, it's really easy just to take that shot of JMO and watch Netflix as you pass out. Because, I mean, you have to go to sleep at some point too to get up and do it again the next day. So
Yes.
what kind of motivated you to change that? Like, how did you get out of that type of situation?
Unfortunately, it was when I got myself into a lot of horrible, random situations, which I am not going into details with.
Absolutely. It's fine.
But I kept putting myself in like these awful predicaments where I pretty much endanger myself. I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but a girl like me shouldn't be out alone at night. I really shouldn't be. You know what I mean? And I didn't take care of myself enough because I was too busy worried about making sure I had my car, my apartment, my food, my clothes. Like, you know what I mean? I was so concerned about that when I finally lost it, I was like, I would have to say I was depressed. I was sad. I hated I shouldn't say I hated my life. I hated what I was doing currently. And one day I was like, you know what? That's it. And it literally just one day I woke up and I was sitting on my couch, and I looked out the window and it was like this beautiful shiny day. And I just kept thinking, I'm over this. I'm over it. I'm so over this life. I have to do something. I have to start working somewhere that I actually want to work in, that I want to do stuff that I actually want to do. Like, I want to be an artist. I want to make stuff. I don't care how silly it is. That's what I want to do, and I looked for a job, and that's where I got the job at the little studio, and I started teaching, my, little classes here and there, and I started gaining my commissions, and then I started really feeling like an artist. And it was until I took the risk of getting a new job and applying for it, which is always the most terrifying thing as an artist. You're like, am I going to get accepted? Can I take this risk and win? And you have to. You have to take the risk. And you know what? Yeah, you might win. And if you lose, guess what? You get to reapply somewhere else. Like,
absolutely.
So that's when I changed. When I was like, you know what? I'm sick of not doing what I want and what I know that I want to do. And that's why you have to be very self-aware. When you love your body and you know who you are, man, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't be who you are, and you have to be like that person. And thankfully I discovered it just in the right time. I applied for the job, got the job, and I was like, yay. Then what's next?
Exactly.
I was like, all right, what now? And then that's when I started opening like different shops online. And I started off with Etsy, and Etsy I know has worked for a lot of people, but it's also going through some different changes right now. So it's something that I'm kind of backing away from now, but it was a great starting point. And Etsy actually is where I got found by Raw. So, that was awesome. If I had never took the time to open my little Etsy shop, and do what I have to do, then hey, I would have never got discovered by this art agency.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, the big lesson to be learned by your story is, you have to be aware of your situation, be aware of what you want out of life and where you want to go. And then you don't even have to know where you're aiming for. You just have to start taking steps towards it. And then new opportunities seem to come up as you do that, as you put yourself out there and as you start doing the thing that you love. So I love it. Yes,
very, very true. I would have never imagined this, and here I am, and just extremely thankful. And if I hadn't took all those tiny little baby steps, I mean, I wouldn't be here. And I'm happy here.
Absolutely.
I like it here.
Yeah, that's good. It changes everything. Woohoo!
Yeah, but it took a lot of work. It took me not to be like just sitting down. You have to do art. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
Or you have to write. Whatever it is that you do, you have to do it.
You just have to do it.
You have to believe that you can do it. Your career is in your hands. And if you want that baby, you better nurture it.
I love it. Before we go, I was wondering, do you have a favorite book, YouTube clip, or anything else that you might draw inspiration from and that maybe we could as well?
honestly, I do a lot of research on different books that I do like. I don't know. I read a lot of books, but my favorite book for sure is How to Survive and Prosper as an Artist. And I think this book is definitely a helpful tool if you have no idea where to even start, or you want to be an artist, but you're not really sure what route to take.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain it. It just has a lot of different elements that come with the art world. And it's not only about art. And that's one thing that the book touches that I absolutely love. It is a business, and it is, there is money to be made in art, and you are running a business, even if it's just like your own,
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I did like about the book a lot, that it addressed that, not to be afraid to put yourself out there, but also not to be afraid to, hey, do you have your contract? Make sure you sign contracts when you drop off your work, and, all these little different elements that you wouldn't necessarily think of sometimes.
Right. Super useful. Absolutely.
Extremely useful. I mean, you have no idea how many laws are actually out there that protect an artist, and, how many things, I know a lot of my friends are like very artist friends are very, nervous about this digital age and putting your work online, and who knows who's going to steal it and things like that. But there's a lot of protection out there for your work, especially if you acknowledge the business aspect of art. You wouldn't be afraid of it, if that makes sense. You know that you will have a weapon, you'll stab them back. It's like, you can take my stuff, but I'm in battle mode, man. I'll
Absolutely.
get you.
It's good to know that you have that. It'll make you feel safer to freely share it,
Yes.
And we will link that at our show notes page at yourcreativepush.com/Blanca. Blanca, it is time for the final push. And this is where I ask you to reach through the microphone and grab the shoulder of somebody you've already really inspired today and give them your best words of advice and push them into doing it.
Well, I would definitely say that rejection is your biggest friend. And if you work with it, not against it, you write out the obstacles that, you face, you will find victory. You will find victory. Don't feel horrible when you are rejected. You are going to get rejected. And guess what? You can always apply again for the same place at a different time with better art, or you can apply somewhere else. So don't be afraid to be, to take the chance. Don't let no or not right now hold you back. If that door didn't work for you, go somewhere else. Make art, man. Use that and do what you got to do. And if it brings you to a better you, then that better you is going to bring that little better, to everybody. You're going to spread it, and I think that's actually something worth living for, just go out there, man. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid. There's so many opportunities out there, and we create our own little walls in our head. We really, really do. If you don't make it locally, try to apply somewhere not locally. Don't subject your artwork to fit a certain location either. Do your art. Do your work. And that right there is what's going to get you through many doors, whether you believe it or not.
Absolutely. It's like being a little wind-up toy, and you just let it go, and it hits a wall. It just keeps going, and it just never unwinds. Just keep pushing through. I love it.
Yes.
Blanca, thank you so much for coming on the show today. This was really inspiring. Honestly, yeah, you have a really inspiring voice, and I really appreciate your motivation.
Oh, thank you. I've been through a lot of crazy crap, let me tell you. So it hasn't always been easy, but you get tougher, man. You get tougher, and you just go. So thank you.
Just go. I love it. And you can find Blanca on our website, which is blanca-moxiesheart.com. And on Facebook, she is Moxie's Heart. And on Instagram, she is Moxies_heart. That's HART in all of those. And MOXIES in all of those. And also her shop, you can find and buy her stuff, which you should check out. shopmoxie.bigcartel.com. And again, all those links will be at yourcreativepush.com/Blanca. Blanca, thank you again.
No problem.
Oh, that was fun. A huge thank you to Blanca for coming on the show and telling us her story so openly. And I love, her sassy attitude and just her motivation, to keep pushing forward. When obstacles or barriers came before her, she kept moving forward, even if she had to alter her course. She just kept moving forward. That's what it's all about. And then that one moment where she got to the point that she was depressed and unhappy with her current situation with 3 jobs and everything. I've been there. We've all been there. Maybe you are there right now. She said enough was enough, and she took that first step to get the wheels turning again. And you have to get those wheels turning, even if it's totally scary or uncomfortable. You've got to stop being stagnant, even if it is easy to wallow in, self-pity. I've definitely been there. It's so easy. It's so easy just to ease on in there into that self-pity and be absorbed in that like liquid goo of it. Like it's so comfy, but you have to shake it off. You have to step out, shake it off, and get moving, or else you'll be stuck in there forever. Go and do that first thing, and then you'll be ready once you accomplish it, like Blanca did, to ask, what's next? On tomorrow's show, we have Jake Parker.
As I go forward and I think, am I wasting my time working on this? And what's the point? What's the purpose? Just the fact that this could have an impact on someone, somewhere, someday is enough to keep me going. And not that comics should be this life-altering thing for people, but they're entertainment and they're a diversion and they're an escape for people. And life is hard enough as it is with everything that people are doing. And I'm happy to provide a place for someone to escape to when they need to. And so that's what keeps me going.
Jake is an illustrator who worked on animated films. He created the Missile Mouse graphic novel series, and he's worked on movies like Horton Hears a Who, Ice Age, Rio, and Epic. And he now freelances out of his own home studio. And he's a really cool, down-to-earth guy, and we had a great talk about creativity as well as time management, and he had some great advice on both of those topics. But that is for you tomorrow. Hopefully today you were inspired to go and get that work done, so go and get it done. And if you need the push again, we will be here for you tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for telling your friends about this podcast. Or even if you don't tell them about this podcast, thank you for helping to push them anyway, using your own words of advice and encouragement, giving them your own creative push so that they can get their work done too. I think everybody has some sort of a creative bug in them. It's really up to all of us to help the people around us to make them do it, to make them express themselves artistically, creatively, and to really get this thing going. First and foremost, though, go and get your work done. Have a great and productive day, and we will catch you tomorrow. Bye.